Tom, are you coming to that meeting?
Is this a scene that looks familiar? Workload. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Tom Spakemore. I teach travel and sometimes triumph, and this is a teach video. And I'm following along my series on the lines of workload and specifically focusing on workload strategies and tips to sort of reduce workload within school. Now, when it comes to workload, I can't really do an awful lot. It comes down to your school and the way that they approach workload. However, what I can do is share some of the tips and tricks that I've learned across my few years of teaching, things that save time. So within the recent Ofsted framework, there is huge emphasis on well-being. One of the main parts of well-being and making sure that teachers are okay is reducing teacher workload, because that ultimately leads to better well-being. However, although that framework is there, some schools will still choose to follow old practice and look at other ways of sort of improving well-being, yoga sessions and things like that. So what I wanted to do is just try and provide some of the tips and tricks that I might have for you guys. Tip number one, and that is behavior management. And although this is a really tricky one to talk about because behavior management is something that is a continuous issue, behavior management is key with workload, because whether you realize it or not, dealing with incidents takes up a lot of time. So behavior management is really key to get right within that first couple of weeks, because it can save you a lot of time in the long run. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to ever be perfect, and I'm not saying that just by focusing on behavior management in the first week, you're going to get things fixed. I am saying though that by having a key focus on behavior management, it's going to take away a lot of the workload of minor disruptions, because if you're continually dealing with minor disruptions in a lesson, you're not able to get around the class and see as many children. You'll probably end up with more marking, and those are the things that take up your time and increase your workload. So tip number one is really try and develop a positive behavior management system, because that will really improve your workload in the long run. Tip number two is seating arrangements in your class. This sounds daft, so let me explain. So my classroom currently at the moment is set up into groups. I've always found this is the best way to get around a class, because I can quickly go around the class, give feedback, mark if needs be, and then reduce the amount of things that I have to do in the long run. It's quite easy to get around the class and see whoever I need to at the same time. However, there are some classes where that is a little bit trickier. So this is my school's art room, and how amazing is it? So the horseshoe that you can see set up behind me, ignore this, it's like a display thing. It's like a happy medium. If you're good at marking upside down, it could be actually the best thing for reducing your marking at the end of the day. It's really good if I need to get from here to here. Usually you could just walk straight through. Same, you just get around the whole class pretty efficiently. The worst classroom setup for marking is probably rows, because if I want to get from here to there, I have to come out to then come all the way around to here, and it just takes a lot of time. So there's the first couple of tips. However, it's the end of the day, so I'm going to mention the other tips at home, because well-being and all that. So I took the well-being thing quite seriously and kind of just forgot to record anything over the weekend. I went up the Burj Khalifa for breakfast, and wow, that place it's just stunning. So on to the tips. Templates. Templates save a lot of time. One of the things I like to do every single year is set up a sort of class list on something like Microsoft Word, where just insert a simple table, type out the class list, and then that serves two purposes. I can upload that to a range of different websites like Class Dojo, and then I'm going to start typing out a range of names on Class Dojo, and then at the same time then I can print that table off, and it serves a range of different purposes. I can record, children's names that, I don't know, have changed books, or to be able to tell me certain key information with the class list. As a leader, templates are very useful for your team. So if you're a leader, try and create templates for your team for things like planning. Then it sort of takes away that questioning period, so that the staff know exactly what's expected with a template and can just sort of crack on. So templates save a lot of time. My next tips are all to do with marking. Marking takes up a significant chunk of my day at the end of the day, and that's sort of throughout being in sort of year 5 and 6 and even year 2 and year 3. It's the one thing that does take up a lot of time. You can see reasons for and against marking, but that's not the title of the video. So when it comes to marking, seek opportunities for children to self-mark and peer mark. so that they're able to check their answers. It serves two purposes. One, it helps them understand things. So if they're peer marking, they're able to sort of look at each other's answers and maybe be able to give some feedback. But also it saves you that time of sort of making sure that you check every single answer, that they can sort of do that for you, and it helps them learn. At the same time, yes, you've still got to go back and sort of check them, but it makes that process of checking their marking a little bit quicker. When you're looking at self-marking at the same time, especially in English, I used to like doing this thing where it deepened understanding. So if they write a piece of writing, for example, and then you say to them, you know, identify specific language features within the text. That's something I'd say with year sixes. And yeah, it just sort of helps them highlight what they're actually using, make them think about what they're using. It sort of serves two purposes as well as reducing that workload. Self-marking resources, the golden checklist of resources. And when I say that, you might be thinking, what? So it's sort of online resources. So anything that you can have online. So yes, there's online games. You might be able to use things like Study Ladder. Study Ladder to me is a fantastic resource, especially for homework. So rather than set out paper copies of home learning, homework, whatever you call it, send it home and then get all of that back to mark, you can set things online nowadays and then it's marked for you. It's also data analyzed for you. Study Ladder, that is a website definitely worth checking out. I'll link it down in the description. And yeah, it self-marks things for you, and it's really useful because that again saves you time. This is like half a tip, but when it comes to marking, always open things up on whatever page you're about to mark. When it comes to marking tests, make sure that they're open, and yeah, mark 2 pages at a time if you're marking a test, and you can just memorize the answers and go through those. If you're marking work and the pages are already open, it saves you like, what, 3 seconds opening the book, but you know, 30 books, times that by however many subjects. It's a time saved. Right, marking tips sort of over. Let's go on to one of the most important tips that I think I know, and that is do not reinvent the wheel. Now, schools should be a collaborative place. I know that if any other person comes to me from another year group and I have planning or resources available from before, I will always give them to them, because I like to think of schools as a bit of a give and take place. You sort of give things out, and then I like to take things from other people, other ideas, other resources, so that I can reuse them. If we can reuse fantastic ideas from other people and make a collaborative workspace, then it saves a lot of time. Yes, a good teacher will look at those resources and think, yeah, how can I adapt that to suit the needs of my classroom? But having that base to start off with can save a significant amount of time. At the same time, I do like websites that have really creative resources. I am talking about Twinkle. You know, their banners and display stuff is fantastic. Yes, you can overdo it with Twinkle for definite, but it does save time. I know if I've got to go and search for lettering for a specific topic, and I've got to go into a lettering website and take specific letters off, put it together, it all takes time. So having that available is really, really effective. So websites such as Twinkle, such as, you know, Classroom Secrets, you've got Grammarsaurus, there's loads. I'll link some of my favorites down below, but those sorts of things can also save time and prevent you from reinventing everything, which does take up a lot of time. Another key tip would be to think of, actually, does this need a specific resource? Yes, there are obviously going to be lessons that need resources, but can you use a whiteboard for a lesson? Do you have to print things off, or can you just display it on your interactive whiteboard if you have one? So those are all things that, you know, if you print something off, chop it up so that the children have it in front of them, that takes a lot of time. You could just display it on your interactive whiteboard, again, saving some time. So always seek those little time-saving areas, because ultimately that will give you a little bit more time left at the end of the day to sort of enjoy for yourself. So I'm going to end the video there, guys. At the end of the day, it is critical that teachers plan social events first and then plan their work around those social events. That way it gives teachers a really good work-life balance. I created another video that sort of linked to this about work-life balance, and you can see that up there, and I'll also post it down in the description. It's really important that teachers get their work-life balance right to really improve their well-being. Fingers crossed you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like the video down in the corner. If you loved it, again, you can click the subscribe button down in the corner. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be alerted when I post. Really hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. For now, I'm out.